Okay, so it looks like we're diving into Antioch Church in Louisville today
Yeah.
in Kentucky.
Sounds good.
We've got some stuff from their website. Looks like they're doing things a little differently than some other churches we've looked at.
Hmm.
So they talk about, deep relationships over polish, unimpressive but authentic. Those are their words. And
Wow.
yeah, right in the most diverse neighborhood in Louisville.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what we find out about them.
Yeah, me too.
So right off the bat, they've got this mission statement that says, we pursue intentional gospel relationships to display Christ's glory among the nations.
Ooh, that's pretty powerful.
I know. I thought that was interesting, too.
It's more than just like, a typical mission statement. This is like, the core of who they are, it sounds like.
Yeah. And I like that phrase, intentional gospel relationships.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, what does that look like in practice? It seems like it's more than just, being friendly and welcoming. It seems like it's about going deeper, like really making an effort to build bridges, not just within the church community, but also,
Outward.
yeah, outward to the community and even globally.
Thinking bigger.
Yeah, exactly. And we see a lot of churches that, they talk about outreach,
Mm-hmm.
but this seems to be putting relationships like at the very center of their identity.
Yeah, and I noticed that they planted the church back in 2009 in like the most diverse neighborhood in Louisville.
Oh, wow.
That's got to be intentional, right?
Yeah, it can't be a coincidence. It really seems like they're putting their money where their mouth is, so to speak,
Yeah.
living it out.
And then they say this, which I thought was really fascinating. They describe themselves as unimpressive but authentic.
Huh. What do you think that means?
I don't know. What do you think it means?
I mean, it's a bold statement,
Yeah.
right? Like, they're not afraid to be different.
Yeah.
It seems like they're rejecting the pressure to, like, conform,
Oh.
like to have the biggest building or the most polished services.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Like some churches are all about the spectacle.
Right, exactly.
They're like, come as you are, be yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And let's grow together,
I like that.
Yeah.
So then they talk about these family groups, which they say are the heart of Antioch,
Mm.
even more so than their Sunday service,
Interesting.
which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
Why do you think they're putting so much emphasis on these smaller groups?
Well, I think smaller groups create a much more, intimate space for people to connect.
Right.
It's easier to be vulnerable, to share your struggles, your doubts,
Yeah.
and to really support one another in a smaller group.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, and you can really, dive deep into the Bible and your faith in a more personal setting.
I wonder if they see that as where the real growth happens, in those smaller groups.
Yeah, maybe it's not about the big Sunday service so much. It's
Yeah.
about those personal connections.
Yeah.
It's a different model for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Focusing on depth over breadth.
So if anybody wants to check them out, they're at 7315 Southside Drive in Louisville.
Okay.
Their English service is at 10:30 a.m.
All right.
And they've got this Nepali language service at 1:30 p.m. called Asha Church.
Wow.
Yeah, it's right behind the South Louisville Seventh-day Adventist Church.
That's really cool that they have these two different communities, the English speaking and the Nepali speaking.
Right.
It just shows their commitment to diversity, I think.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder how they manage that. How do they bridge the cultural differences and still feel like one church?
Right. That's a great question.
So it seems like Antioch is really all about authentic relationships,
Yeah,
embracing diversity, intentional outreach.
definitely.
It seems like they're really living out their faith.
Yeah, and what I find so fascinating is that they're really challenging the traditional church model.
How so?
Well, they're putting relationships first.
Yeah.
Like that's the foundation, and then everything else flows from that. It makes me wonder if that's a more effective way to grow spiritually and to really reach the community.
Yeah, it's something to think about for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, well, that's Antioch Church for you.
Very cool.
Lots to think about.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, thanks for diving in with me.
Of course. Anytime.